one more video, and then I could sleep on the airplane anyway. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Anime Nub here, and welcome back to Blind Reactions, where we'll be doing reaction recap episode 2 of Star vs. the Forces of Evil, covering episodes 8 through 13. Jeez, I was almost short of breath there. I'm not going to be covering episodes 1 through 7 of Star vs. the Forces of Evil Season 1, because I essentially did that in Reaction Recap Episode 1, where I talked about the central storyline and how it ties in with Star vs. the Forces of Evil, the characters that were introduced, so Star, Butterfly, Marco Diaz, Ludo, all of that, as well as anything that I may have perceived as important to remember as we continued into episodes 8 through 13, and when we eventually get into Season 2 and 3. As well as any questions that may have risen as I was watching episodes 1 through 7. So go watch that first, because that covers a lot about what all of the reaction recaps we plan on doing, not just for Star vs. the Forces of Evil, but for other animes as well, and other cartoons. And yeah, go watch that first, because you're probably going to get lost about what I'm going to be talking about today, depending on if you actually enjoy watching this kind of stuff, on watching noobs like me review a cartoon or an anime after watching so many episodes. So, I mean, that's up to you. So, Season 1, what do I think of it? Well, from what I gathered from the first 7 episodes of Star vs. the Forces of Evil, a lot of the episodes that I've seen thus far have been mainly focusing on character development and have just been based on filler episodes. And the only reason I know what a filler episode is because some of the new characters that I'll be introducing that I've seen in episodes 8 through 13 have roles that are specific to filler episodes. That's the only reason why I know what a filler episode is. Anyway, episodes 8 through 13, yeah, there was more character development, but we actually got some kind of introduction to what the story's going to be about in Season 2, as well as what kind of plot we can expect as we get into it. The reason I know that there's some kind of story that's going to be played out in Season 2, or at least some kind of plot going to be developed, is because of 2 reasons. One is that it's highly expected that we're going to see Miss Heinous again, because during the episode where Star and Marco go to rescue Ponyhead from St. Olga's Reform School for Wayward Princesses, upon the takeover of that school, Miss Heinous ended up figuring out where Marco and Star came from, so there's a very strong hint that she's going to go exact her revenge for destroying her livelihood at the school. So I'm going to assume that we're going to see her again in Season 2, I'm hoping, but we'll have to see, of course. And number 2 being, how is Star going to prove to her parents that she is responsible in knowing how to control her wand and learning how to use it when half of it's missing? I mean, we saw in the last episode that she completely destroyed her wand for the sake of Marco and to rescue him from Toffee. And, I mean, yeah, it did come back as a different form and a different shape to it, which brings up a lot of questions as well on why it's shaped differently. But we saw that half of the star ornament that was on the wand is missing, because one half of it, the golden half that was initially there, is still on the wand, and the other half looked to be buried underground and had this weird poison-like greenish tint to it. I don't know what that was about, because, I mean, there was... why is it green? So there's obviously going to be some episodes where we see Star trying to adapt to this new wand of hers, and there's, from what I'm predicting, there's going to be some kind of story or some kind of plot leading to her finding the other half of her wand, or at least something to deal with her wand, because it's obvious that she's gonna at some point need to go find where the other half of her wand is. So there's a story right there. And the other possible story is her learning how to use this wand, this new wand, as she begins looking for the other half of it. So those are the 2 really big reasons on why I'm starting to speculate that Season 2 is going to be more story-based, more plot-based than character development. Now, the only concern that I have as far as Season 2 is that a lot of the episodes in Season 1 were filler episodes. And, I mean, granted, a lot of Season 1 was about character development, but from what I perceive this show to be, I am worried that there's going to be more filler episodes than there are episodes that focus around the story of what this show is, or if there's going to be any lack of plot. I mean, I'll be happy if at least half of Season 2 is plot related or story development related, and the other half is filler episodes that just shows Star and Marco doing random adventures or getting into random shenanigans. But I'm just hoping that there's more emphasis on story and plot than there is filler episodes. Granted, if those filler episodes are more character development, I don't mind that, as long as they're just not empty, as in those filler episodes literally have no purpose to the actual show, whether it's character development or plot related. Nonetheless, I find the show friggin' hilarious. I love the connection that Star and Marco have. I love that they're really close friends and that they can literally overcome any obstacle that's thrown at them. And I love the epicness of it, especially that last episode. Ugh! I love fight scenes like that, if you couldn't tell from my reaction. Which is something that I'm hoping more of, because I really do want to see Star get more serious in Season 2. So I'm really hoping that we see more of that. So we know Star Butterfly is the main protagonist of this show. We know that Marco is the deuteragonist of the show as well, meaning he is the secondary main character, or in this case, he's the unconditional loving friend of Star Butterfly. You could better call him a sidekick to Star Butterfly, but deuteragonist is more what he falls under. We have Ludo, the antagonist, who always opposes the protagonist to any show. And his goal has mainly been to take the wand from Star, although we don't know what his fate is, because as we last saw, Star literally threw him into another dimension by the looks of it, so we don't know if he's dead or not. We know that the supporting characters are Marco and Star's parents, Glossaric, Ferguson, Alfonso, and Ponyhead. And our minor characters are the same still, where we have Jackie, Jana, Brittany, Miss Skulsnick, and Jeremy. If you're wondering why those characters are where they are in those character roles, go watch Reaction Recap Episode 1, because I explain why I have put them where they are, or why I predicted or interpreted the reason of why they're there. So what about new characters? Have there been any new characters that fall within their own specific character roles? Well, obviously, I'm not friggin' blind. So first we have Toffee, who was initially hired by Ludo because he was looking for new minions to help him achieve his goal faster, to get Star Butterfly's wand. Now, initially, I more saw Toffee as a very intelligent person who was willing to help Ludo get his goal, or was going to play as some kind of important role as far as a second antagonist to Star Butterfly. Well, apparently Toffee had a different goal in mind other than helping Ludo. His goal, from my understanding, based on the actual last episode of Star vs. the Forces of Evil, was to destroy Star Butterfly's wand, which raises some questions to me as to why he wanted it destroyed in the first place, rather than actually using it to take over the world or the universe or something. But that I'm going to discuss later on in this episode. What I can say right now is that seemed to have been his goal from the very start, because he was dead set on getting Star's wand by any means necessary, and in this case, capturing Star's best friend, Marco Diaz. Well, that wasn't going to initially happen at the start of him being in this group, because Ludo's main objective is to actually get the wand for himself. So, in order for Toffee to achieve his goal of destroying the wand, he needed to get rid of Ludo. Well, in order to do that, Toffee had to prove to the others that Ludo isn't capable as a leader. Well, the only thing that was standing in his way was Buffrog, who was Ludo's right-hand man, who actually began distrusting Toffee and started doubting the reason why he was here. And what better way to do that than giving Buffrog an incredibly easy task using a very convenient instrument to take the wand from Star and then sabotaging it, proving to Ludo that he was incapable of serving Ludo as his right-hand man, forcing Ludo to kick Buffrog out of his castle because of his stupidity and because he could no longer do the simplest tasks and essentially let Ludo down. Well, now that Buffrog, the only person that actually doubted the reason why Toffee was there and didn't trust Toffee, is now out of the picture, now Toffee can begin focusing on getting rid of Ludo in order to gain control of his minions. And all he needed to do was just wait for Ludo to screw up big time, like that episode where he literally had the wand in his fingertips, but was just tickled to death. And it was at that point that he knew that he could lead a coup d'etat to kick Ludo out of his castle and to bring his minions over to his side. Now, initially, I thought his goal was to get the wand for himself because of that whole episode, or the end of episode 12, after gaining control of the castle and Ludo's minions. I thought his goal was to get the wand for himself so that he could use it for his own purposes. But nope, his goal is to destroy it. The complete opposite of what Ludo's goal was. And he actually proved more of a threat to Star than Ludo ever did, because Ludo's plans, or all of his plans, ultimately failed, and it wasn't until Toffee came into the picture that Ludo began getting closer and closer to getting the wand. So Toffee knows what he's doing, and we clearly saw that he knew what he was doing, because Star literally gave him the wand right then and there. But nope, he didn't want it. He just wanted it destroyed. He wanted Star to literally destroy it right before him. And that didn't make sense to me. And the other thing is, he knew how to destroy the wand, where Star did not, or she forgot how to destroy the wand. So initially I was wondering how he knew how to do that. That is until someone pointed out in the comments section that Toffee was actually reading a book about the wand, and I just didn't notice it beforehand because of what was going on during that scene when Ludo was literally looking at the screen in awe as it was showing him what was going on in Star and Marco's house. The team actually concluded that it was okay for me to go back to actually know that for reasons that they didn't tell me why, but there's still the question on why he was so fixated in having the wand destroyed. And yeah, the book did show some kind of information about the wand, but first of all, where did he get that book? And second of all, why is there a book about the wand? And the third being, if this was some kind of book that had information on the wand, why would it be so specific as to explaining the first spell that Star's mom ever taught her? I mean, that doesn't really make any sense to me. Well, besides all that, what character role does Toffee fit under in Star versus the Forces of Evil? Well, Toffee could fit under an antagonist, but to me, he doesn't, because an antagonist, while, yeah, they're the bad guy to the protagonist, they are still shown quite a lot throughout the story, and giving them some kind of importance. And we've only seen Toffee in like 3 to 4 episodes. So, and he doesn't really come off as a main antagonist, much as Ludo did. But he's still a villain nonetheless, so there has to be some kind of villain role that Toffee fits under, and there is. And I love this name because it suits him perfectly. And the role that I'm specifically referring to is, I see Toffee as the Magnificent Bastard. And it's just got a sick sounding name to it and fits him perfectly. Here's the reason why. A Magnificent Bastard is someone who's classified as brilliant and devious. Toffee has shown that he's brilliant. He was able to come up with plans that allowed Ludo to get closer and closer to getting the wand, even though they ultimately failed. And devious, as in he concocted the plan to get rid of Ludo's most trusted right-hand man that actually began distrusting Toffee, and then began to come up with the plan to overthrow Ludo. So yeah, he has shown that he is not only brilliant, but devious at the same time. A magnificent bastard also is very calm under pressure, meaning they don't lose their cool. And they are very charismatic. And I mean, Toffee just comes off as a suave kind of guy. He seems like the kind of guy who could literally get anything he wanted to just by convincing somebody that, hey, I need this, and you have it. Do you mind if I get that? I mean, he was able to convince Ludo's minions that Ludo isn't an effective leader as much as Toffee was. So, yeah, he is charismatic, and he never loses his cool, especially at the scene where Star literally blew off his hand, and he literally just laid and sat there on the floor looking unfazed as if that was literally what his intended goal was. And another thing that a magnificent bastard is known to do is to give the protagonist a sadistic choice between option A and option B, which is exactly what he did. He gave Star the option to either let her friend die or to destroy the wand, which she ultimately chose to save Marco and destroy the wand. And by revealing the choices that she had, gave a really slasher kind of smile as he was doing it, which is another thing that we see a lot with magnificent bastards, especially when it comes to the point where they give the protagonist two choices, where they get a kick out of watching them suffer. So yeah, he, while doesn't fall under an antagonist within this season, he falls under the role of magnificent bastard, which is a type of villain, so here to say. And again, the reason why he's not an antagonist is because he's not an omnipresent... Yeah, he's not an omnipresent character where they're seen all the time within the story or the series. Which in this case is Season 1, is the whole purpose of what this recap is about. That, and he kind of exploded in a magnificent way, so yeah. Now, the other character that was introduced was Miss Heinous. Now, also, she's not an antagonist either, because we only see her in one episode, which was the St. Olga's Reform School of Wayward Princesses episode. But there is a specific role for her, and she falls under the filler villain. Now, a filler villain is a bad guy that we only see in one episode, that is, or one filler episode. And they're essentially the opposite of what an arc villain is, which is a villain that we see throughout the entire series or multiple times throughout an archive of a show. And again, she falls under this because we only see her in one episode of Season 1 of Star vs. the Forces of Evil. So she falls under as a filler villain, not an antagonist. But that could change in Season 2 because, again, we see that she was able to locate where Star and Marco came from, so she might make a reappearance in Season 2. That's what I'm expecting. The third one is Tom. That's another character that was introduced in Season 1. And from what I've gathered so far, and again, this is my interpretation of what I've seen in the first season. And because I don't know what Season 2 or Season 3 are about, and I don't know anything else about these characters. So I can only put them where I see they fit from what I've seen thus far. And from where I've seen Tom from that one episode, he also falls under as a filler villain, where he is Marco's antagonist because he literally got pissed off when Marco interrupted his spotlight dance with Star. And yeah, he almost tried to kill him until Star had to step in to freeze his ass and to chill him out. Literally. But yeah, he definitely doesn't fall under a minor character, though, because I feel that there's some kind of importance to him that more so than what we would get out of a minor character. So that's why I'm putting him as a filler villain, because he was only seen in one episode, which is what defines a filler villain. And he's a villain in my eyes because he literally tried to kill Marco. And the last character is Buffrog, who up to this point has been serving as Ludo's minion. But in the last episode, we see he has a change of heart and begins to, or at least help Star out in freeing Marco from Toffee. So one word that we would actually describe this change of heart in going from an evil character to a good character, or no longer an evil character, is the villain or the minion or the antagonist goes through a heel face turn. And what that means is that evil person has a change of heart and goes from a bad character to a good character. And that can either be from having a change of heart, seeing that being evil sucks, or something in their life changes their outlook on life drastically. It could really be anything. So right now, what I would like to do is label Buffrog as a supporting character, but because he's only helped Star out once throughout Season 1, I can't really do that based upon what a supporting character is. So for now, he has to be labeled as a minor character. However, that may change as we get into Season 2, where we begin seeing more of an appearance from Buffrog, as maybe he gets some kind of supporting role within Star's life. We'll have to see. But yeah, that's essentially what happened with Buffrog. He was at first a minion for Ludo, and he underwent a heel face turn, or in simple terms, he went from bad to good, and now he's classified as a minor character who could potentially be upgraded to a supporting character within Season 2. Now, if any of you have different opinions on what I've figured out so far, as long as you can be spoiler-free about it, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section on what I've determined so far, or if you have any other notes of importance on where you see certain characters at. And keep in mind, this is mainly for Season 1. Not Season 2, because I haven't seen Season 2 yet. Or Season 3, for that matter. Now, as far as the questions that may have been risen from our first reaction recap, the ones that have been answered so far were, who's Tom? We now know who Tom is, which is Star's ex-boyfriend, for unknown reasons. Well, not really unknown. I'm guessing it's the fact that he has anger management issues. We now know what St. Olga's is, because of the episode where Star and Marco went to go save Ponyhead from St. Olga's Reform School for Wayward Princesses. And I now have a strong understanding of why there's such a sour relationship between monsters and Muni settlers, is because literally Muni settlers came in and kicked out the monsters from their home, forcing them to have to rise up and re-steal Muni back for themselves. Because if you remember, based on Star's book, or her little lesson plan of how Muni Independence Day came to be, she said that monsters rose up to re-steal Muni for themselves. Well, you don't just come in and re-steal something unless someone literally stole it from you first, and you're just coming in to get it back. So that's why I have a feeling that the settlers of Muni literally came in and kicked them out of their house, and that's why there's a bad relationship between monsters and Muni, because of the fact for that reason. Now, here are some new questions that came up with me from Season 1, or finishing up Season 1, that I hope are answered in Season 2. The first question is an obvious question. What will happen now with Star's new wand? Is it going to go haywire because half of it's missing? Or her spell's going to be affected because half of the wand is missing? Is Star, in her own right, somehow going to be affected based on the fact that half the wand is missing? The reason I came to those questions is because at the end of episode 13, Glossaric literally stated that he hopes that they find the other piece to the wand. Now, why? Is somehow this going to affect Star and her learning how to use it? I don't know. But there's clearly some importance to needing to find that other piece. The second question, why did Toffee want to destroy the wand? He could have literally taken over the universe because it was literally in the palm of his hands, but he decided that, nah, it would be better if Star ended up destroying it right before him and leave her down into a broken mess. Now, my logic is that there has to be some reason that he needs that wand destroyed. I don't know why, but that's what I'm getting from that, because if he doesn't want the wand to control the universe or for his own purposes, why does he want it destroyed? The third question is there some kind of relationship between Miss Heinous and Star Butterfly? Because in the episode where Star and Marco go to save Ponyhead from St. Olga's Reform School for Wayward Princesses, when Miss Heinous showed emotion, she had those little markings on her cheeks that were very similar to Star Butterfly and Star's mother. And the only reason that I picked up on that is because Star's dad doesn't have those markings. The citizens of Muni don't have them either. And other monsters and interdimensional beings don't have those either. The only people that have been shown to have markings on their cheeks, such as the clubs that were on Miss Heinous, were Star and her mother, both of which are in the royal family of Muni. And this is only seen in females. So this is telling me that there has to be some relationship between Miss Heinous and Star Butterfly, as well as her mom. The fourth question is, what was that whole thing with the Blood Moon Ball all about? Because if we remember from what the guy at the podium said, the Blood Moon will select two people on the dance floor to dance together under the light and bind their souls together as a result. Now, we clearly saw Marco and Star were selected by this Blood Moon, but what is the importance of that? Because from what I understand, binding of souls together for all of eternity means that you are now soulmates and that you will literally be together for all of eternity, essentially hinting at the fact that they are at some point going to become a couple. But here's the thing. I didn't get any hints, I didn't get any flags that there was going to be some kind of relationship between Star and Marco that is a relationship more than friends. From what I've seen, Star more sees Marco as her best friend, and vice versa, where Marco sees Star Butterfly as his best friend. I didn't see at any point that there were any feelings between the two, so I don't know what that was all about. Maybe it was hinting at the fact that they would be friends forever. So that's my guess anyway, is that they're going to be best friends forever. So, because I don't see any hints that they're going to be a couple anytime soon. More importantly, I don't see either one of them having feelings for the other. And I mean, the Blood Moon Ball could have just been some kind of coincidence that happened. I mean, there could be really nothing to it other than the fact that they just danced under the light from the red moon, and that was just literally it. That whole speech thing that they said together at the same time when they were talking or saying each other's sentences at the same time, that could have just been a fluke. The fifth question is Star going to treat monsters differently? Because we now know that Star is starting to doubt the relationship between Muni and monsters, to where she probably is beginning to think that not all monsters are evil, because we saw her give her plate of buttered corn to Buff Frog after seeing him in that tree, and she clearly worked really well with Buff Frog as they were trying to set Marco free. So is her treatment of monsters and her outlook as well going to change towards monsters? And the last question is, what was that surge of power that she was able to utilize to break Marco out of that glass prison? I mean, her heart's lit up, her eyes lit up. What was that all about? Does Star have some kind of secret power that's within her that she has yet to unlock? And if there is, can she use it again? Because I really want to see that again, because that was badass. I mean, seriously. Because I'll be honest, I got a boner during that scene. Anyway, that's my reaction recap to Star vs. the Forces of Evil, episodes 8 through 13 of Season 1. And I really hope you guys liked this reaction recap. Hopefully this will be much shorter than the first one after the editing team cuts it down, which last time, the last reaction recap, episode 1, was 30 minutes long, I think. So hopefully it's shorter than that, but we'll have to see. Oh, and one more thing. I'm going to be traveling over the U.S. to spend Thanksgiving with my family, because I'm in a different state than where they're at now because of school. And so you might not see any new episodes of Star vs. the Forces of Evil until Sunday. So I just want to pre-warn you of that, in case you're wondering why I haven't been posting any episodes lately on either Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. But what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get an episode of episodes 1 and 2 of Season 2 of Star vs. the Forces of Evil out before later tomorrow. And if that's the case, great. But if we aren't able to and you don't see an episode tomorrow, that's the reason, is because we didn't have time to, because we're all going our separate ways for Thanksgiving until we come back together on Sunday. So if you liked this reaction recap, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, because that gives us motivation to continue to do these. I can't stress that enough with every video we do. And on behalf of the Blind Reactions team, we want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. We hope that you're able to spend time with your loved ones, your family, and just be thankful for what you have, because there are those out there who are not as fortunate as us for what we have. So just keep that in mind for Thanksgiving, and when you go Black Friday shopping on Friday, which has always confused me as to why they've scheduled it to where Thanksgiving is a day that we should be thankful for what we have, and then the following day is Black Friday, where we all punch and shove each other for the best deals. I really don't understand that. And yeah, so with that, we'll see you guys next time for when we come back on Sunday, and that's when we will start Star vs. the Forces of Evil, episodes 1 and 2 of Season 2. Alright, see ya!